Pedro Pascal is undoubtedly the most well-liked leading guy in Hollywood at the moment. With roles in The Last of Us and The Mandalorian, as well as movie office successes like Gladiator 2, Materialists, and The Fantastic Four, Pascal is currently unavoidable. But starting with his early years in Santiago, Chile, Pascal's journey to fame and wealth hasn't been simple. In order to avoid being captured by General Augusto Pinochet, who imposed a military dictatorship in Chile in 1973, his parents had to leave the country when he was just 4 months old. Because Veronica had distant family ties to Salvador Allende, the socialist president of Chile who was ousted by Pinochet, Pascal's mother, Veronica, a psychologist, and his father, José Balmaceda, a fertility specialist, were considered enemies of the state. After fleeing to Denmark, the family moved to the US, but their problems didn't stop there. A stunning fertility scandal in 1995 forced Pascal's father to leave the United States and return to Chile. Later, he was accused of evading income taxes and mail fraud. At the reproductive clinic he assisted in running with 2 other men, Balmaceda was found switching frozen embryos of women without their knowledge, according to the Orange County Register. According to a 1995 Orange County Register article, Dr. Ricardo Ash, Dr. Balmaceda, and Dr. Sergio Stone had stolen women's eggs without their consent and given them to other women who subsequently became parents. The incorrect transfers led to at least 15 live births, and the clinic was closed after the egg theft incident. Furthermore, it stated that an audit found that almost $1 million in clinic revenue had not been reported, which included tens of thousands of dollars in cash payments from patients that were purportedly pocketed by doctors. Although Stone was found guilty of fraud, Balmaceda and Ash left the United States before their trials. Pedro's mother, Balmaceda, and his 2 siblings returned to Chile. Ash fled to Mexico, where he was later apprehended. Balmaceda was allowed to start over in Chile and remained one of the leading reproductive specialists in the country, the sources said. Balmaceda eventually admitted to tax fraud and turned himself in to police in 2022, after several years. The fiasco was labeled one of the biggest fertility scandals in history by ABC News. Pascal and Balmaceda seem close, frequently posting pictures of themselves together on social media, despite his father's controversial past. Pedro even accompanied his father and his sister, transgender actress Lux Pascal, to the London premiere of Gladiator 2 last year. In order to concentrate on the hardships his parents faced while fleeing Pinochet's rule in Chile, he has never openly discussed his father's fertility scandal. In an SNL monologue about their travels, Pascal remarked, "They were so brave. I wouldn't be in this amazing country and I wouldn't be standing here with you all tonight without them." Pascal's mother, Veronica, tragically committed herself in 1999. Our Final Days star has made many statements on the profound influence she had on him. In 2020, he told a reporter, "She was the love of my life. She was never a stage mom, and she was always really supportive," he added. "She always seemed to have knowledge that I did not. Without her, I wouldn't have achieved any of my success. She's on my mind every day. Even though she is no longer with me, I still live for her, even though I can't claim to have a religious practice to feel connected to her because I don't pray." Losing the most significant person in your life and realizing that such a thing could occur, along with the possibility of your worst fears, is an inexplicable and irrevocable event. A before and after of her passing are shown. "It was really difficult for us to remember my mother as the person she was because of the circumstances surrounding her death," he also acknowledged in a 2017 interview. "It hurts so much. I know that my mother would not want me to handle it any other way, so I attempt to cope with my pain as best I can each time." After she passed away, Pedro chose to honor her by adopting her maiden name, formally becoming Pedro Pascal. Pascal's sexual orientation and romantic life have been the subject of countless online rumors, but the Eddington beauty would rather keep his relationships private. In an interview with Vanity Fair, he said, "I've dreamed of taking my kids to the movies the way my parents took me. So, I suppose I want a shortcut to an interesting person who will go see something that I want to see, and that person is my child." Pascal asserts, however, that he isn't truly a private person, even though he declines to make his love partners public. Pascal clarified, "I always feel confused when I'm identified in any form of media as a very private person, because that's the opposite of me. My private life is very unprivate," he added. "Even without this massive perspective, I am aware that navigating intimate relationships is incredibly difficult." The Fantastic Four: First Steps, Pascal's most recent picture, is now a hit. After a more successful than anticipated first weekend, the Marvel film brought in an estimated $118 million at home and an additional $100 million abroad, for a total debut of over $220 million worldwide.